Welcome, greetings and salutations from the greatest minds from around the globe. We are the Nerds That Know, Smurf here, and it's a full house. We have the mistress of love and gentle feelings, Lady Bobbi, the precocious and ever lovable Fox, the mystic of comic arts itself, Tank, and Stash.
That's excellent, because I don't want a compliment from a fool such as you.
Well,
only a fool would refuse a compliment from Smurf.
This is true.
They do not come freely.
We're all fools together, because apparently we're all fools.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome. We have been away. We've been doing lots of nerdy, geeky stuff.
Yes.
So we are here to tantalize your ear holes with some of the great news, information, and just our normal load of bullshit that we love to share with.
And we do have a great load of bullshit.
Holes.
We do have big ear holes.
So last weekend I was actually at Savanah Mega ComicCon.
How was that? It looked
3 different
small.
costumes.
Okay.
It was small compared to a lot of the cons that I've been to, but it was well attended.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
They did not have guests to speak of. Like their guest list was nil.
So like well attended for like a school pep rally, well attended for like, you know, a great afternoon at Sweet Tomatoes. I mean, what's well attended?
You know, the vendor alleys were full of not only vendors but actually people buying stuff.
Oh, there you go.
But not like I can't breathe, I can't move full. Yeah,
Well,
like Denver can get sometimes before it became shit.
What was your favorite cosplay that you saw?
Favorite cosplay that I saw? I actually saw a couple's costume where he was the Pokeball and she was the trainer. And that was cute.
That's cute.
There was a Thanos there with like the full like mask and everything, but he had it fitted enough so like he could talk and the mask would move. So obviously he'd used a little spirit gum, you know, and like painted his arms, and he looked really good.
Wow.
But I was actually working working with one of the cosplayers there who was helping with the cosplay contest and such. So I was working booths a lot as well as just meandering. My 3 costumes that I did were Mary Poppins when she jumps into the chalk painting, so the big white hat.
I saw that one.
I did a very slutty Mad Hatter.
Ooh.
Like to the point where I had to wear shorts under the dress because it was more of a shirt.
Nah, you don't gotta wear shorts.
Because between my tits and my ass, it made that dress not fit so well. But the costume I had the most fun with was I went as Lisa from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Okay.
And there were only like 5 people who understood what I was dressed as. I mean, it was a really good, like with the red scarf and the stone and the purple with the vest and the sunglasses and the red heels. And
I bet those 5 people were so stoked.
they were so fucking happy. They were like, "Can we get your picture?" Absolutely.
That's awesome.
So, but yeah, it was a good time. The after party was good. Although apparently you're not supposed to call after parties anymore when it comes to cons. So it's now called the After Con.
That's horrible.
Yeah. But, you know,
Who said it?
they had a DJ and, you know, a rapper there who was really terrible. And because some of the only guests that they had there were all wrestlers, they actually had a wrestling ring set up, and they were doing
sense. It's Georgia.
Yes, Georgia. It makes a lot of sense.
That
The
makes
lines
a
at
lot
those
of
tables were actually up to 10, 12 deep.
That's not surprising at all. That's one of the homes of wrestling in America. So
Yeah, but so they had the ring
Did you
set up
wrestle
and they were
or
doing
wrestle?
little exhibition matches. And you could buy a ticket to get into one of the matches with one of the wrestling guests.
were you participating?
Yes.
Wow.
That sounds like fun. I'm in.
No, that actually sounds kind of cool. I might try that.
So yeah, that actually was probably the most well attended for the panels or the contests or anything else like that. So, but all in all, it was a good time. There was lots of drinking. There was cigar smoking. There was alcohol. Smurf would be proud.
I'm very proud.
So, but after that, I was completely dead to the world because that's a 10-hour drive from New Orleans to Savannah and back again. And we drove back to New Orleans on Sunday right after the con closed. So Monday was spent either in a coma or loading my car up for my drive back to Colorado.
That sounds terrible.
The drive back wasn't terrible. Drive back from New Orleans because I got to stop and see my godmother, and spend some time with family. But the drive from Savannah back to New Orleans, that was wretched because I was the only one who hadn't been drinking that day. So I had the first leg of the trip. So.
Gross.
Yeah. But in any case, other things have happened other than my adventuring.
Like what?
Masters of the Universe has come out. Troll Hunters of Arcadia, Rise of the Titans has come out. Many things.
Oh my God, Bobbi is speaking from the ether. Her chair is abandoned. That chair looks pretty comfortable, though. Not gonna lie.
It looks pretty comfortable. I was like, nice looking chair.
It is a comfortable chair.
So which travesty would you like to speak of first from Netflix? Either Masters of the Universe, which actually I don't think Masters of the Universe as much a travesty as everyone is getting all bent at me.
Well, let's start there.
I like it.
Let's start with Masters of the Universe.
I liked it as well. Coming from the standpoint that I remember watching the original cartoon and where this started and where it ended makes absolute sense. And in no time in the credits does it say He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. No, it says Masters of the Universe, Revelation. And we all know what the Revelation is. They hinted at it enough, and it was in the original cartoon. So I don't know why it's a big surprise. But I thought it was great. I enjoyed it. And there was some heartstring moments where you're like, oh, they just did that.
Yeah.
I
enjoyed it. I was pleasantly surprised with the character development that they gave to very underdeveloped characters from the original cartoon.
Including the two, arguably main cast members?
Yeah. I mean, I've always been a big fan of Tila. She's awesome.
I mean, to be fair, anytime you watch the old cartoon, they always did everything as a team. It wasn't always just He-Man. He relied on Tila, Man-at-Arms, Orko. It wasn't just always him.
I wasn't talking about He-Man. I was talking about Prince Adam.
Oh, well, Prince Adam was kind of just, wow. I mean, they went to the far left on him. I was like, I remember, him being similar to the same size as He-Man, just a different color. So now they shrunk him, made him shorter, and changed his color again.
This Prince Adam at least doesn't look like He-Man, and so it makes more sense as to why Tila wouldn't have made that connection previously.
True.
Whereas in the original, it's the Clark Kent Superman. Oh my God, he's wearing glasses. It can't be him.
Yeah, I had seen that some people were outraged about the character designs for this iteration, and that they weren't like beefy enough. I guess they just really want their He-Man to look like a 70s porn star bodybuilder.
Yeah, I liked it, but everything about the character designs was honestly better. I watched the original series. I was born shortly after it was made and everything like that. I watched it all as a kid. I liked this better. I liked the story better. I liked the character development better. I liked the visual representation better.
The only fact that it wasn't overly focused on He-Man, personally.
Yeah.
And there was some great flashbacks, and I only wish that there was more Skeletor. But I think
Yeah, but what they did with Skeletor, they did well.
Yeah. What I think hurt me the most is Sarah Michelle Gellar voicing Tila. That is what I found the most distracting and difficult to just stomach. All I could hear was Buffy, and that nasally ping. She didn't sound like I would imagine Tila to sound like.
I thought she did a good job.
She just sounded too whiny.
She did a good job, but I actually sort of agree. She didn't sound tough enough.
But she was supposed to kind of be like, a teenager throwing a tantrum.
I guess that makes sense. She kind of was.
Throughout the whole thing, she was a teenager throwing a tantrum. Now, I'll grant you, she was also a badass, but she was still just being a bitch.
Yeah, she didn't get her way, and she was throwing a temper tantrum.
Right, which is why it worked out well, I think. I liked the cast. I thought that, having Lena Headey as Evil Lynn was a good choice.
Amazing. She did a great job.
That was great.
I was actually a little surprised to see Alicia Silverstone in the cast.
I was surprised by a lot of the cast, to be honest.
But all in all, I thought that the casting, they did well. I thought Orko did a really great job.
He was great.
He was actually likable.
That was beautiful. Yeah.
Even
though it was short, the story they told with Orko
was awesome.
And heart-wrenching, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then when you have Moss Man at the end with it was just a beautiful moment.
Same with Roboto. They gave that character crazy dimension very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, the fact that they did that with so many members of, the original cast that we never really, or the original characters that never really got expanded on.
Even Beast Man was somewhat developed. And I was like,
kind of lame was Merman. Merman, they just kind of gave the Rob threw him back in. It was great.
Merman's always sucked anyway.
Yeah, but I got a weird feeling he's going to come back.
Yeah,
he's definitely going to come back.
I see a revenge thing happening here with him.
And
not against the good guys, actually, on this one.
What did you think about the enemy of, not Skeletor, but the other enemy? I'm trying to be obtuse. I suppose I could say it, the Cult.
Oh, that was cool. It was a good backdrop.
Scarecrow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, the cult, the techno cult that they had.
Yeah, led by
with
Triclops.
And
Trapjaw.
That was pretty good, actually.
It was a good backdrop, a good enemy to have kind of floating around.
Yeah, he was just always in the background somehow, but always just being a little bitch, but somehow also being a badass. He was the most He-Man villain ever.
So is this a complete story, or will there be a season 2?
Oh, there's definitely
there's going to be a season 2. There has to be a season 2.
Well, no, it's already done. It was written as a 10-episode run.
Yeah, they just broke it up.
Okay, good.
Them break it in half because they're making this one, and they're also apparently making another He-Man show, which actually is He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. they didn't want all of it to
Come out at
disappear.
the same time.
Yeah. So they're spreading it out. We're probably going to get it winter or spring, I'm assuming. Season 2.
Probably.
That'd be nice. Yeah, but I was pleasantly surprised, especially since most remakes, reboots, whatever you want to call it, that they've done of any of the 80s cartoons have been complete shit.
I don't know. Did you like She-Ra?
No.
You hated
Oh,
She-Ra.
that's right. My roommate likes it.
Did I like She-Ra and the Princesses of Power? No. Did I like
Yeah,
Strawberry Crab Cake? No.
That
No,
show's
we can
not
watch.
great.
And it's worth watching. Honestly, the amount of people that came down on it doesn't make sense. I think the amount of people that came down on it were expecting something
So,
different, honestly.
okay, for Masters of the Universe, I agree. For She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, I
Oh,
feel
no,
like
not
they could have
She-Ra.
told that story without calling it She-Ra, and I went to stab somebody in the eye with my pencil.
That's
No,
like
I'm talking about
that's the Lost in Space argument that we had. That wasn't Princess.
Yeah.
The nerds got lit up about Kevin Smith lying to them, saying that He-Man was in it and there was no He-Man. So everybody got all.
That's not true.
There
Like,
is He-Man. He's just only a minor character this time.
Right. So everybody got wound up saying Kevin Smith lied to him, and immediately the you're shitting on my childhood argument comes up from just about every adolescent male out there that can't grow as a person or understand how stories work. So
I don't think the people who grew up with He-Man are still adolescents. Let's be real.
No.
In
Like
fairness,
it.
Fox,
They're
I'm pretty
acting
sure
like it.
most of those men are.
yes,
Yeah,
they're acting very gatekeepery and adolescent about this whole thing instead of being an adult and open-minded about a story that has moved past the. This week we learned that magic and fire doesn't work. You know, that kind of shit. It was a progressive story. It was good and it made
Right.
sense.
and there was real stakes.
And I
Yes,
appreciated that they didn't try to play to us like we were still children, but
Yes.
they kind of did that tip of the hat to the old, cartoon.
Yeah,
Whereas,
well, they did.
like, I loved in the old cartoon where you had today's lesson, or like in the She-Ra we had to find Lookie.
Yeah, well, and they all got pissy because of, because the one part he did kind of fib about was that he said it wasn't focused on Tila. Well, it wasn't entirely focused on Tila, but there was a lot of Tila.
Yeah.
There's a lot of everything. I'm pissed that there was no Buzz-Off, no Stratos, and there was another character that I was Moss Man went up pretty quick.
Yes, but he had that good bit in the
Fucking
end.
metal as shit, the way they killed Moss Man.
Well done. That was a good pun. I appreciate that, Smurf.
That was crazy how they did
Oh,
that.
no, Ram Man. One of the most worthless characters from back in the day, Ram Man. We didn't even get a peek at him at all.
Yes.
So the three characters, I was kind of like, but where are these guys? So instead of the nerds focusing on what we didn't see, as far as like the characters and what we did see and how orchestrated of a story it really is, you think everyone's missing the point. All the cranky nerds are missing the point. It's not all about you bastards. That's it.
It is all about me.
Well, yes, you have boobs.
Yes. And they're lovely ones. Sorry, I just got back the final edits from my photo shoot, so I'm very happy with my breasts right now.
Very nice.
Okay.
It should be.
So,
Yeah,
speaking of boobs, let's pop over to Troll Hunters.
So Troll
that's a bad transition for a kids show, Bobby. That's very
Okay, first off,
inappropriate.
Troll Hunters
I was
is not a
thinking
kids
Fear
show.
Street. I was thinking Fear Street because at least there are sexualized people in that.
Okay,
show.
fine. We could also talk about Lord of the Rings because we're actually going to see boobies in that.
Yes, we
No,
are.
Hell yeah.
that's not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed yet. They're
Let me
having
ask
an
this.
intimacy consultant.
so-
It doesn't necessarily imply sexual intimacy.
I didn't
It just-
say you would see sexual intimacy. I said you'd see boobs.
I think
Let me ask
we'll
you this.
see like
All right.
smooth backdrops of people. I think we'll see some ass cheeks. But
All
I don't
right,
think we're gonna
Fox, what
see
is your question?
I would love to see some Hobbit ass cheeks. Okay.
Do you
Let
think
me
they're
ask
as
you
hairy
this.
as the rest of them?
I'm
Probably,
sure
yeah,
they
I'm
are.
assuming so, yeah.
Probably not as much as dwarves. They've got braids back there.
That's true.
Dreadlocked
but-
ass cheeks. Okay, continue with your question.
Do we need this? Do we need
Yes.
this adaptation?
Yes, we do.
Ooh, we've got some differing opinions in here.
I will
Because
say this.
it
Boobs might
bas-
make me actually watch it because
you realize
I'll
that
watch
it's
anything with
the most
boobs.
expensive television show ever produced.
Excited to see what they can do with it, and I think that mini-series adaptations of books tend to be more faithful to the source material than a movie.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited about it. I better get my fucking Tom Bombadil. Like, I get why they cut him out of the movie. He doesn't really like show up later. Whatever. I want Tom Bombadil.
Well, it's not actually based on on those characters. It's not based on the
Okay.
Fellowship. So Tom may be there, but he's going to be in a very different way. It is based on
Bombadil.
oh,
Give me. I want him.
No, see, I want the Burrows because that was the part I missed the most being cut out of the books.
The barrel weights.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to see, like, how I don't know how that got cut out of the movie, because the barrel weight scene is very tense and very action packed.
It is, and it's fucking scary. Like, when I first read those books, like, it scared me.
And I think it ups the stakes, and it gives you the idea of, like, now that they've left, like, they're in danger, and, like, the barrel weights are fucking scary, and there's really nothing that they could have done to get themselves out of that situation. Like, it like really shows how high the stakes are now that they've left Shire. So yeah, I'd love to see some barrel weights. I'd love to see Tom Bombadil.
well, the reason interesting things got cut out is because Peter Jackson wanted to show off New Zealand with his long ass shots of people walking for 2 hours. Because that's basically all that happened. For
Wow.
much of that
You were
entire
being
series.
way too critical of their take.
I
Way too critical.
A movie about walking.
I
will
mean,
say-
it is literally a series about walking to Mordor.
It's a fellowship quest. It should be a little bit more interesting.
I think the
It
Fellowship of the
was.
Rings, the first movie, I think, was the most engaging. I think it can get a little, it can drag on in the Two Towers, which
That's the one
it did in the books as well. The Two Towers was kind of the Tolkien-esque thing of, like, a lot of like painful amount of detail and world building. So admittedly, not a lot happens in that book, but
That's the one I'm most critical of. I will go
Yeah.
and say that. I read the book. I find the book interesting. I saw the movies. I fell asleep 3 times before I finally got through half of it.
It
Wow.
took me
What the hell is wrong with you?
4 or 5 days to finish all of the movies. But that was also while I was in grad school.
I got bored.
I don't know. I mean, the one takeaway from the second film is the Battle of Helm's Deep, which was spectacular, and I think that's the high point of that film. It's better than the final fight at the White Kingdom. I mean, that fight was a little kind of disappointing, and I expected more out of the Pelennor Fields. I mean, I wanted to, like, really see some carnage, especially with what we saw in Helm's Deep, and we really didn't get that. We saw a couple of elephants and some rogue orcs, and that was it. And that sucked. Especially when
I was expecting the Ghost Army to be a lot more graphic.
Yeah.
Because, like, in the books, they, like, fucked people up. They fucked people up. They ripped them apart and left nothing but bits and pieces behind.
It sounds a whole lot like people are agreeing with me right now.
No, I honestly,
but there was not enough action. There was too much of the in-between filler. There was too much of
I don't think so.
So Fox's point, it is very detailed, and how do you get that detail out except for the wide panning shots? And
leave it out when you turn it into a movie.
No.
All right, I think we're all going to feel that.
Okay, let's actually announce the release date, since that's the thing.
Yes.
September 22nd of next year.
And what are our thoughts on this new adaptation? Now that we've bitched about the movies,
I don't think we need it. I don't care. It's so far past the point that me giving a shit that I really don't give a shit. No, like Tank. The only thing bringing me back is boobies. Hobbit boobies, elf boobies, maybe
orc boobies,
but boobies. Okay.
Orc boobies.
Yeah.
Boobies.
I would see orc boobies.
I'd love to see some orc boobies.
As weird as it sounds, I'm more interested in the miniseries than I was in the movies because I think splitting it into smaller chunks will force it to be more interesting.
Well,
I don't agree with that. That's only going to make it worse because they're going to have these long stretches of episodes that there is nothing but filler until you get to a major battle. It's going to be very reminiscent of Game of Thrones, where there's a whole lot of fuck ton of fucking, and then all of a sudden we get to the Battle of the Bastards. That's what we're looking.
Get some fucking, it'll make it more interesting, right there.
Yeah. I'm cautiously optimistic. That's all I'm willing to speculate at the moment.
I mean, I'm super excited because it's a prequel to The Fellowship, and it's a lot of the lore that most people don't know.
Yeah, it's called The Hobbit.
No, it's not. That's part of The Fellowship.
Yeah, it's not part of that either, apparently.
No, it's the Tales of Middle Earth, so it's back way further.
Are we talking are they using the Cimmerillion as material?
They are.
It's the most boring book. Oh, I'm gonna get a lot of hate for that.
I will give you that. That is the worst fucking book, man. It is, but some of the stories are really cool, and it gives the origin of these divine things, which could be really interesting if done properly.
So we're gonna see some real cool wizards and dragon shit this time?
Possibly.
One can hope.
I mean, I don't know. I know they're already confirmed for, I think, a second and third season, and they haven't even, they're still not done shooting.
Well, when you spend $500 million, you kind of need to get as much of it as you can.
I mean, I'm excited for it. It's I will definitely be watching it.
I'll at least give it a shot. I will promise that.
Speaking of Netflix or Amazon adaptations, the Wheel of Time announcement release poster dropped a couple weeks ago. And on top of that, we got a confirmed release date of November.
Yeah.
Which I am in the midst of rereading that series right now. I think I'm on book 6. And so I'm dead in the center. And I gotta say, I'm really curious what they're gonna do with it because there's so much that is.
I can't even begin to speculate. I don't even I don't know. We were. I got nothing. I'm just I don't even know. I don't even care. Just let's start.
Well, it's looking like we're going to get 7 episodes for season 1. According to what I've been able to find, the cast doesn't
7,
really.
That's it?
Yeah.
Eesh.
Well,
Okay.
that kind of tells you what is really going to happen, and that's either they're going to start with the earliest time period and tell a story, or they're going to start with the first book and tell a story.
They're gonna start with the first book.
That is
That's
the plan,
Because
according to their
the trailer
release.
the poster is Moraine opening the Waygate, which happens for the first time in the first book.
All right, there you go. That's going to be the story. It'll probably be the first book, like big chunks of it, probably.
I think so. The thing is, he's refocusing the series. I listened to his ComicCon interview, and he's refocusing the series on the pursuit of balance that is a theme in the books, but not necessarily the core premise. And he is going to refocus it on that. The director, honestly, I forget his name, actually has me pretty about it. I'm curious to see what it is. I grew up on this series, but it didn't age super well. So, like this, I'm reading it because I haven't reread it 10, 15 years. And I'm really seeing a lot of the flaws and stuff like that I never allowed myself to see when I was growing up. And it's interesting to see how something like this would be adapted.
Yeah. So they do have a different director for each episode, looks like.
Well, who's the showrunner?
That's what I'm looking for.
Because that's who unfortunately, that's who kind of matters, because that's the storyboard person.
Yeah, it's... Damn it. I can't remember.
Hold on, I'm on IMDb. Let me pull it up. Raph Judkins is listed as the creator of the series.
So there you go. That's your showrunner. I don't know that name.
Let's see what else he's done, because I don't know that name off the top of my head either. Will not be a big doofus. Thank you. Okay.
Raph Judkins is the name I've got.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
He did
I'm
Age Old,
verifying he was the one.
The Division, Hemlock Grove.
He did what for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Producer. Writer for The Division, producer for Hemlock Grove. Let's see, filmography. It's really not showing a lot more than that.
He was a writer for The Division.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of an interesting move.
It's an interesting pick.
In
terms of people.
Apparently, he also was executive story editor for Chuck, the TV show.
Oh, that is interesting. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And my own worst enemy conspiracy TV series.
Oh.
No, nothing of that.
Let's see. He was an assistant writer for the 4400. Worked on Law and Order SVU.
So this guy comes from procedurals.
Yeah.
Like almost entirely.
Mm-hmm. I mean, even Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I would count in that.
No, definitely. Yeah, it's a movie of the week procedural kind of thing.
Right.
That does not bode well for this series.
That is an interesting choice, because that makes me wonder, like, is this going to be presented as a procedural? That'd be weird.
I don't think it can. That's not, like, the narrative isn't conducive to something like that.
That's why I'm confused.
Yeah.
That guy does procedurals and Monster of the Week stuff.
Well, the thing is, he grew up. I know one thing he wants to promote is I remember from his interview, was the balance and then the accepting of cultural differences, which is a big thing in the series. And if he focuses on those two things, like those are both pretty big themes through the series, and I think he can make that into something interesting.
Well,
and he grew up with this series, so he understands it. It helped him accept his own homosexuality. So it was very interesting to listen to him talk about it.
Well, then it's a passion project, so he must have really killed it during the pitch.
I think he's the one who pitched it.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he pitched the series originally, and then convinced Amazon, and they've already confirmed a second season. So, and we don't even have a trailer yet for the first season.
Wow, he really pitched the shit out of that.
Yeah.
Come up in probably August or September.
IMDb is just showing 7 episodes, but that could just be the 7 that they've finished filming.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that the season is only going to be 7 episodes. It's just that's all that they have record of at this time.
Well, Amazon does like 6 to 10 usually, so it could be 7 very easily.
It could be. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's going to come down. They could cut the final episode into 2 if it starts dragging too long or something like that. Who knows?
Well, I'm interested.
I'm very excited. I'm not really super hopeful, but we'll see. I've been waiting 20 years for an adaptation of this series. I'm curious to see how they do it.
I am always wary about adaptations of books that I love.
I don't know. You love Legend of the Seeker, Bobbi, so...
Fuck you. Fuck you hard. With a spiked dildo in your ass.
Wow!
That's rude.
rough.
Yeah.
I mean...
Where do you go from that? Where do you go from a spiked dildo in the ass? That's...
Fear Street is where you go from that.
I don't remember any spiked dildos, but there are definitely stuff getting stabbed through people, so...
Oh my god, the fucking meat slicer?
That was the best.
That was the best. And
So,
the best and most interesting character they wrote in that entire series. They fucking killed with a meat slicer.
That was cool, though. It was a cool way to kill somebody.
Yeah, it was.
It was good. The first 2 parts were actually really cool.
I think
I
the
enjoyed the hell
second
out of
one was exceptional. The first one was pretty good. It was a little more stereotypical, but the second one was really interesting. And the third one.
That was the thing, though. I think that was completely intentional.
Oh, I think it was
Because
too.
They were playing up the tropes of the horror genre, and that's basically the entire story. Is all of the crazy, weird shit that happens in horror movies happens across the 3 parts.
Yeah, it's very similar to the Babysitter movies. I don't know. Well, they play with the tropes of slasher movies and stuff like that. This is very similar, except it plays with the tropes of horror movies, and it did a very good job in the first 2 movies.
Oh yeah, the first one was really cool. The second one, that was the one that was heavily inspired by a slasher.
Yeah.
The second movie was really very much taken straight off the pages of Friday the 13th.
Mm-hmm. The third one, Sweet Mother Mary of God, was that movie terrible?
I'm not going to say terrible, but
It was terrible.
I will say how it ended up plotting out. I think they went to jam too much into it. I think they tried to fit too much stuff into the last part, and it ended up dragging in weird ways and kind of disconnecting from the first 2 parts too much.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they were obviously going for a different kind of story. They were going, Blair Witch, The Ring, that kind of shit.
Yeah. I mean, I did appreciate the twist.
The twist was pretty cool at the end.
Yeah,
It was very
but that was technically at the end of the second movie.
true.
So, I mean, you could argue, but I thought that twist was interesting. It wasn't particularly innovative or new, but
Well, no, that was M. Night Shyamalan from the beginning.
yeah,
That's what that was.
I thought it was fun. I mean, I watched the second movie first, and then I watched the first movie, rewatched the second movie, and then watched the third. And, I had a good time with it.
Oh, yeah.
The only reason I rewatched the second one is because I was reading during it, but it was fine.
I watched it from beginning to end. It was fun. It was.
You read during most movies, Stash.
It was a complete.
No, I know.
I will say
the
that.
production value, I mean, was great. It fit
Oh, yeah.
well for what they were doing, and it did feel like a horror movie of the day for the time period. It really, really worked. I thought it was stupendous. Really, very creative.
Well, and you got 3 completely different kinds of horror stories,
Yep.
but all still connected together.
All
It's kind of
connected.
cool.
Yeah, it was,
It was
very
an
well
interesting
done.
approach to horror.
Yes, it's probably what American Horror Story wanted to be, but then fell apart.
You know what? You're not wrong. Like
It looks like Fox agrees with you.
Yeah,
that is.
I don't know what that expression implied.
That is the I can't believe they're on to their 10th season for fuck's sake look.
Oh,
Okay, so I think that the writing started devolving after season 1. Season 2 was passable. After that, it was impossible to parse storylines and like characters' motivations and why the fuck they were doing what they were doing, or like what the plan was, or why they thought what they were doing was a good idea. The writing is terrible. I will say Hotel was enjoyable.
that was
Because
just
of
creepy.
Lady Gaga and the aesthetic. But aside from that, it was garbage. Enjoyable garbage. You know, we all like a little nacho cheese sometimes.
Opulent garbage.
Hey, you gotta pull the Velveeta out
Opulent
every once in a while.
garbage. Just like me, honey.
I will say I liked. I think it was the last one. 1984 was that the last one? And that's just because they brought in so much of that weird time period and like the kind of serial killer motif that they gave to it was kind of interesting.
I was told that I should actually watch that series only.
I
Just
think
that.
you would like that one actually. I think you'd like 1984 just because it is kind of that
It is
decently.
It's fun.
Yeah, and it's fun. It's really goofy, but it's in a good way.
It's passable.
I have not seen 1984 yet, but I did watch the first little installment of American Horror Stories.
Hey,
I have watched all 4 of them so far. It's
The first one I thought had very dangerous messaging about queerness.
Oh yeah.
Like bullying, mental illness. Like it was.
Ryan Murphy is a weird dude. And
Yeah, clearly.
But it reminded me of like the older horror films. If you had sex, you smoked, you did drugs, you died right out of the gate. I mean, that was basically what it reminded me of. It was just like, don't be any of these things because you're going to die first in a horror film.
I think they played the game of bury the queer. That's what I thought when I was watching that. I was like, they're really aiming to
They were wrong.
any type of. I think he was attempting to tell an interesting story that talked about social issues, but
I think
completely
that message got lost. That message so got lost.
No, yeah.
Yeah,
it does
At
not come
first,
Yeah.
At first I was like, oh, like these parents are sitting down and having an honest conversation with their teenage kid about like watching porn. Like that's really cool and progressive. They have some weird ideas about like people who like BDSM, but they're parents. Like but no, it didn't. It was not. Nope.
Did you watch the second part of that?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, it doesn't end any better than it starts.
No.
But I will say this: he does not do that in the third and fourth one. The third and fourth one do kind of tell an interesting short story.
Okay, I'll check it out with your recommendation.
But yeah, the attempt at the rubber woman was not good.
First of all, she's not even a woman. She's like, what, 16? Ew.
I think 16, but I think it might be younger than that. I think they said she was like 15.
15?
Ew.
Yeah, ew.
Yeah.
that's not okay.
Well, when they hypersexualize the 15-year-olds and that like very, very much.
That's true. Although on the other hand, I think that it's totally fine to talk about adolescent sexuality, frankly.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, it was very like
It was a
male gazy.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between understanding adolescent and teenage sexuality and hypersexualizing adolescents and teenagers.
See, and then I think that's where it missed the mark, because I think they were attempting to do the first part,
Yeah.
which was exploring the idea of teenage sexuality in this environment.
Because
But they went for the peep show effect instead.
there's such a difference between those two things.
Like Porkies.
But yeah, I would have to agree with Fox. Like it does not do a good job, and it does cast a pretty terrible light on honestly every characteristic they tried to probably make interesting about that story.
Every lifestyle choice just got butchered.
Yeah, like every single one of them was like, so basically if you are anything, if you're human, you're a piece of shit.
You're human, you enjoy breathing. We need to have words. We need to discuss with you your problems.
You don't have to be breathing. They
A big carbon burner. Don't eat salads, kids. They're bad for you.
yeah.
And that poor therapist, like how she got treated after she got killed, is just like, oh no, I'm still just a therapist. No character development for me whatsoever. I'm totally cool with this.
Weirdly enough, that was my favorite part because it was so weirdly in the story.
Yeah, it was absurdly funny in a way, but it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, she should have gotten some kind of character development.
Oh yeah, 100%. But it was just this weird background character that would just pop in randomly and have a weirdly happy attitude while everything was going horribly wrong.
Did you say Dr. Seuss? Well, here I am. That's all I could think of during that. Like, what a pointless character.
But we didn't even mean to talk about that tonight.
No, we didn't.
It's all right. At least it was, a related tangent instead of just one of our usual random tangents.
So to get us back on point, I want to ask the group a question.
Yes.
Does an ending ruin the entire movie? So you're
Yes.
going along, you're totally bought in, and then the ending takes you completely out of that happy space. Does that ruin the entire thing?
It can.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it would be a case-by-case basis for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It depends on how fundamentally it fucks up the story.
Because there's a difference between like unsatisfying ending and just a terrible ending.
Yeah.
I've had bad endings to movies and I've still enjoyed the ride, but
Oh, like that, what's the movie with the poof balls?
Save Ourselves.
Save Yourselves, yeah. That was a good movie with a bad ending,
Yes.
and I still loved it.
So the reason I asked this question is because Troll Hunters, Arcadia, Rise of the Titans, I'm totally in. I locked, stocked, and barreled, and I love the series. I love the final episode that we're getting, and then the ending happens.
Right?
Basically destroys the entire series. I mean,
They could have ended it on that sad note, and I would have liked it better than the way they did it.
I
it
agree.
was horrible. I mean, why would you do that to the fans? Why would you do that to the story?
I mean, maybe the producers thought that, this is kids media and we need to have a happy ending. So,
No,
like, you can
but
write
it's
this
not a
in,
happy
so-
ending.
And with the body count that they racked up, come on, they were not worried about kids. We were losing characters left and right.
I mean, and we were losing good characters too. This wasn't just like a Game of Thrones, let's just kill everybody. This was like meaningful death.
Yes. I mean, it even took away from my love for Vavatos, all right? Vavatos is here to kick your ass. And they just totally took the air out of it and killed it. I mean, they just brutalized that fucking story.
Oh my
The
God.
whole
Yeah,
thing.
seriously, if they had just said, you know what? We did the thing. We've reached this point. We've had losses, but look at what we can rebuild now as all of us together.
See, and that makes more sense to me. And I don't know. I expect more of Del Toro, and I think that's probably the bigger letdown to me. Besides the ending that just really just screws with the fan, but I expected better of Del Toro, who brought us The Shape of Water, where we know it's a tragic end, but there's the other side of the story. There's the life goes on and things do get better, and to do that is just, I was just pissed. I was so angry.
Remind me, did Del Toro do the Golden Army?
Yes, with
Mhm.
Hellboy.
So I'm fucked up before.
Yes, but not as bad as
He's not
this.
infallible.
I think that this is a worse fuck up than the Golden Army.
I agree.
Because
I don't think I would ever watch the Golden Army again, but I would watch. My favorite series, I guess, out of the three was the Three Below. I enjoyed the hell out of that.
that's because Vivatos is amazing.
I like the Wizard.
That one was cool too. I mean, I liked all of them, to be honest. But Three Below was the one that I kind of sat there and this is actually a good story.
Oh, the dock was great. I mean, the taco truck. You can't go wrong with the taco truck. I mean, there was some really great elements to that series, to all of them. And then just to have them shit on it, like they did, it was just like, what the hell?
I mean,
Well,
how fucking tropey and lame of an ending could you have had?
This was the ending that we got with the Sword of Truth series by Terry Goodkind. If anybody read that series, the first, was it 12 books?
Really? Are you talking about the books?
Yes, the books.
Not really.
Yes, the whole ending where I'm just gonna say it because I don't care. Spoiler alert for those of you who haven't read the book series that's been out for like 8 years. The very end, he's all like, "Oh, we're just gonna magic all of the people who don't like magic away, and that way everybody who does like magic is still happy."
I mean, that's the power of a god, though. Like, that was based in continuous lore going through it. But
That was, I don't want to write any more of this shit. I'm going to jump the shark.
Oh, was this
he literally kept writing books in that series, though.
I know, but he did take a break. I'm just saying, it felt like that.
That guy was a terrible... Enjoy his books or not, that guy was a fucking piece of shit.
Oh, I don't know that guy.
Like, he was a terrible person. It's like he was so, like, patronizing to other fantasy writers and stuff like that.
I didn't
It's
know
like,
what kind of
that's why
terrible
when I
he was.
learned how bad of a person he was, I was like, I won't buy any books of his anymore.
Was that just because he was a prick to everyone, or did this guy like Mike?
No, like he got mad at Robert Jordan and called him an idiot for not finishing his series because he was dying.
Oh, okay, that kind of prick. Gotcha.
Yeah, like he said he was the only person. I don't know what that was. I'll be back.
I was just ceiling caving in.
Well, Stash investigates poltergeist or Lord knows what in his fucking home. Let's move on.
All right.
Poltergeist.
Yes. Anyone who
Can
watched
we-
Troll Hunters, don't watch the movie if you enjoyed the series. Just let it go.
You know what? If you watch the movie, just stop it 10 minutes before it ends.
Yes.
15.
Okay, 15 minutes before it ends. I feel the same way about, what was that TV series? Carnival?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? First 3 seasons, because what was it, 3 seasons? Right?
Yeah.
We're fine as long as you don't watch the last 10 minutes of the final episode.
Well, it's like How I Married Your Mother. It's the exact same. It's exact. Yeah. See, there you go.
Yes. And it
That's
just,
the
the
feeling
end
right
kills it.
Oh,
Tells the story so
yeah.
horribly.
Right?
Okay. So there you have it. That's our thoughts on Troll Hunters. Deal at your own peril. We apologize for any spoilers for those that may not have watched it yet, but you had to be warned.
It wasn't good.
It's only fair.
But speaking of investigating poltergeists, can we talk about the Ghostbusters trailer?
Yes.
Yes. That was awesome.
I'm not even in like a Ghostbusters fandom. Like I've seen the original movies. They're fine. You know, it's fun. Like I'm just saying I'm not like a huge fan. But this trailer looks so fun, and like the idea to make it into like a kid adventure movie is so fun. It's got Finn Wolfhard. Like
it is like Stranger Things meets Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like a very fun ride with adding all of the right feels from the nostalgia of Ghostbusters. There's so many Easter eggs in everything in the last trailer that I could go a whole hour on the Easter eggs from the two. But the big takeaways is Shandor's temple, which is in that mountain.
Oh yeah.
The glyphs on the back of the wall are the same from the top of the penthouse. The town itself has a bunch of Gozer symbols all around it. If you look in the background,
it has a bunch of weird little things in there.
I wonder how many cameos we're gonna get.
All of the Ghostbusters, with the exception of Rick Moranis, are coming back.
I miss Rick Moranis. I miss him so much. I love him.
Yes. I mean, we get flashes of Egon, and there's a rumor, or at least more of a fan theory, the blue ghost that is being chased by the kids, they think that's Egon.
I saw that, yeah. I saw that.
Through his pursuit of the ghosts and trying to understand Shandor and Gozer, that he stayed. He didn't go over. He didn't cross over when he died, and he's now a deformed kind of angry ghost.
A Slimer number 2.
Muncher is his name.
I know, but it's Slimer.
Yeah.
It's, but it makes sense also because it's Alan Reichman's. Wait, is that his name? It's the kid. It's Reichman's son.
Jason Reitman.
Jason, that's what it is. Who's literally, you can tell, like, this is something he fell in love with as a kid, that he wanted to tell his version of the story.
Well, he's in the second Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Jason Reitman is in the second Ghostbusters at the kids' party.
Mm-hmm.
So he grew up with these guys. I mean, he literally grew up with these guys.
Yeah.
So for him to pay homage to them while continuing the story is very, very enduring. And we even get, what gave me the best chills through this whole trailer is the end and the phone rings in Ray's bookstore. And they recreated this from the original film to look just like it did back then. Even right down to the red phone. Ray's got a tattoo that references him and Winston talking in the car about Revelations at the end of the first Ghostbuster film. So it is so intense. It is just, I just can't wait. No, we don't know where Burt Murray is. We don't know where Dana is yet, but I'm sure they will pop up.
Yeah, they're gonna show up, I'm assuming. Like that, we kind of know that Murray is involved because he already said so, that he's involved somehow.
Yes.
We don't know what degree that is.
Yes. I wouldn't be surprised if Ray doesn't make the call and Murray and Dana come to the rescue along with Aykroyd and
that's probably what happens, yeah. But yes, I agree with you when you hit that final scene. Did they fully recreate it, or is this all CG background right there?
They physically recreated the bookstore.
They did physically. Okay, that's what it looked like, and I wasn't sure. I'm like, that's some pretty intense detail
You
work.
can't recreate a neon light. You can't digitize that. That is an actual neon light that they've got up there in that window.
You could. It's advanced enough now. You can kind of do some stuff.
I was gonna say that solely based on the trailer, it looks very well produced, and the cinematography is beautiful from what I've seen.
That whole scene of the terror dog ripping out of the Walmart is awesome. I loved it. Even the Stay Puffs,
That was probably like just so adorable. Like that. So
They're adorable, but they're like children of the corn scary. I mean,
Yes.
they're obviously going to eat your soul. Shit.
Well, I don't have a soul, so I'm fine.
That's what the paper umbrellas are for.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good trailer, and I really, for something that we know has kind of been going on for a while, to finally see something is really cool.
Well, I think even from some of the footage that I have seen from then and now, it looks like Jason has gone back and like spruced up the film in some areas.
Oh yeah.
And added some details, and there's other stuff, there's other elements that there's drastic difference from what I saw and what this new trailer reveals. So
Well, he really bumped up the quality of everything, honestly.
Well, didn't they have an extended period of time in post-production because of COVID?
they did. I mean, the film was supposed to be out last year, so I mean, Jason took full advantage of downtime and did some spruces. Because I don't even think Muncher was as detailed in the first trailer as he was in the new one.
I
Just kind
agree.
of saw a blue blobby thingy.
Yeah.
So I think they went in and really spruced up the stuff.
Well, they've had enough time to make this fabulous, and I'm hoping that it is everything that we already want it to be. Because we already have the feels just from the trailer.
Oh,
No, with Potts just sitting there talking about Egon, I got all misty. I'm like, poor Egon.
And Finn Wolfhard is just such a likable young man.
He is. He's just so jovial.
All right, so moving on down our never-ending list of things that we have going on, something for a less than likable character, Ted Lasso.
Why is that less than likable?
Well, because apparently the big deal is the fact that he's not a complete asshole, and people are freaking out about that.
Was he supposed to be?
No, he's one of the sweetest characters I've seen on TV.
But
The
isn't
most
lying? That's kind of a dick.
Yeah.
No, he's incredibly heartwarming. It's such like a just build like some beginning to end on the first season, and they kind of start right from that in the second season. It's actually a very, very sweet story.
So according to this article that just came out, negative expectations have been completely shattered for Ted Lasso because he does not come across as a complete creep.
Nope.
And so all of these negative implications and expectations that people had for the show are being completely turned around. So
So they were just basically waiting for him.
and they're calling this an optimistic comedy.
Oh yeah, from top to bottom, that dude, the way that the character is portrayed in the story, Ted Lasso is the nicest human being that ever existed, essentially. And he is incredibly strong of will and strong of heart, and even though he does have a couple issues that do pop up, it just makes you kind of understand him more of why he is so optimistic and why he is so forward thinking that he just wants the whole world to believe in themselves.
Truman Show on crack.
Yeah, but without the
Cliche cameras.
well, without the fakeness, it doesn't come across as honestly, it doesn't come across as a TV show because it seems like this was a real human being almost. There's no fake.
This, and I couldn't swallow the first season, and I was just like, okay, I'm out. And then, it starts talking about how that's not the character, and I'm just like, wow, okay, so is this the way it was supposed to go, or do you think the writers sat down and was like, we should probably change this because, yeah, this isn't what we intended.
I don't think he comes off as creepy. That's actually kind of weird. I don't think he's creepy at all.
Well, and I think that's what people are saying is that he's not coming across as creepy, and they don't know why he's not coming across as creepy, because if this was a real person, he would have a creep factor.
Interesting.
Oh, it seems like, honestly, the best way to explain it is it's Ned Flanders without the Bible thumping.
Or the kids?
Or, well, no, he has a kid.
Oh, okay. All right.
And you get some emotional depth to him when he, talks to his kid and all that stuff. It is a legitimately good story about a guy that just wants the world to be happy and wants to do the best job that he can, and he won't let the world kick him, basically.
Good for him. Step up a little.
I don't know. I enjoy it. It still remains my favorite show from last year. I watched it again before leading up to the second season, and every ounce of it I still enjoyed because it's so hopeful. When everything is despair and sadness and everything, it's such a hopeful story that just exists in this seemingly ether where everything else wants to, drag you down. The story doesn't want you to get dragged down at all. But,
okay.
Well, you know what? We could use hopeful right now.
Hopeful's good. I think everybody's just turned into a cynic and they're waiting for the other shoe to fall.
I think you're right. I think people are expecting him to, be a weird or an asshole because that's how these stories kind of go now.
Mm-hmm.
Because the nice guy's not really a nice guy.
Yes, in like the last 5 minutes of the series finale, we're going to find out that he's some sort of serial murderer or whatever.
That's right. Half the town's in his freezer. It'd be great.
But just their lower half.
Way to end that series, I'm going to be honest.
But everything's brighter because I killed the fuckers that didn't let me have my way.
Isn't that the whole premise of half the shows that we talk about?
True. Pretty much.
All right, so let's talk about killing people who don't let you have your way and jump over to Dune.
Who are we killing?
Whomever we don't like. We'll just feed them to the sandworms. Or kick them.
Sandworms? They generate the spice.
I'm not killing the sandworms. I'm feeding the bad people that we don't like to the sandworms.
Okay, so we're feeding the sandworms?
Yeah. We're feeding a fuck ton of people to the sandworms.
This makes bitter spice.
Yeah. But we have the new trailer that has come out on it. We have the official release date for it. And we also have the new posters that have come out showing you all of the different characters.
Yep, marketing is in full swing.
Oh, yeah.
They are definitely not pushing it again.
As they should be. This thing looks amazing. I mean,
I'm so excited.
I think it looks fantastic. I think the cast looks fabulous, and I am super stoked to watch this.
I'm legitimately surprised by how much I want to watch it. I'm going to say that.
Yeah. Are you guys going to see it in theaters?
Maybe, actually.
Fox, what were you going to say?
Oh, it looks super epic. I was going to say, I don't know if I buy Timothée Chalamet in this role, but...
I get that, yeah. Okay, I see that too.
Okay, he's not my top cast pick. As far as some of the other characters who have been cast, I mean, obviously everybody's been cast. The cast that we've seen, he is not where I'm going, oh my God, that's the perfect casting choice.
I mean, I never thought I would, Patrick Stewart in Dune was completely one of really? This guy? No, it was just kind of one of those odd. Same thing with Mimosa now. Kind of I'm curious to see how they work him in here. We got Batista, who has elevated in my book as far as an actor based on the last few films that I have seen him do. So
Mhm.
I'm more serious about seeing his performance than probably anyone else in this cast, because I'm starting to respect him as a performer. He is spectacular.
Well,
Come
we
for
think
Dave
that's
Bautista, stay for the spice.
Right.
I wouldn't.
well, and we have Josh Brolin in here as well. Like we have a lot of muscle.
Oh yeah, it's some
It's
meatheads.
testosterone full.
Yeah.
Yes, which makes me happy in ways that Dune shouldn't make a woman happy.
We
But
still don't have an age-appropriate lead, though. Just saying.
I think I agree with Fox a little bit on this. The Timothée Chalamet casting kind of reminds me of when they tried to make Taylor Lautner into an action hero. Does anybody remember that weird, 3 years where he was in all these action movies and sounded like a 14-year-old?
Yes.
Yeah, that was weird. That was a weird time.
That's kind of, I guess, I'm kind of agreeing on that. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting. All right.
Not age-appropriate. Nope. No, it's okay.
Technically, he is, but
Sure.
I mean, according to the books, he was like what, 15?
I was going to say actually like 13 or 14, but I think he might be closer to 15. He's in the teens.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
okay.
he's in the early teens.
I believe he's in his mid-20s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense that they would pick a soft boy, but like, I don't know. Timothée Chalamet is like your indie hipster ex-boyfriend.
Hashtag soft boy. I love that.
Yeah, I actually just wrote down hashtag soft boy. Do I have to spell it with an I, Fox? That's the important question.
I mean, you can do Fox BOI or Fox soft BOI for me because I'm a little soft boy. I'm your resident femboy in a maid costume. But Timothée Chalamet, I believe, probably a Y.
You know what? I'll do both.
Yeah.
Yeah. See what you did there. Actually, even I'm like totally jonesing now. I'm going back and kind of revisiting the Dune books. There's a new comic book that just came out last week. Going into Dune, and it's written by Kevin J. Anderson, who is a local author in addition to a heavyweight when it comes to Dune and Star Wars and Jedi Academy. So
There were extended
ComicCon.
yes, so and I've had the chance to interview Kevin, and he is a beautiful person, and his wife is wonderful. We hung out on the airplane on the way to DragonCon one year, so it was an adventure. And Kevin's great, but his take on the story is always very prolific, and I love his point of view and how he shapes the Dune world. So to see everybody getting back into the Dune, it reminds me when it came out the first time. There's no Sting coming out of a steam bath looking all weird.
You know what? Maybe we'll have our three meatheads coming out of the steam bath all together. That would not be a sad moment for the Bobbi.
Josh Brolin comes out of the steam bath looking purple. We don't know why.
That would, honestly, if him and Bautista come out as their Marvel characters, I wouldn't be mad.
Oh my God, I would laugh. So Bautista digs himself out of the dirt. He's all green. Oh God, I got this shit all over me. That would be great. I would love that.
Get Drax,
Hashtag green shit all over me. I love it.
Drax, Thanos, and Aquaman all of a sudden pop out.
I am curious about the
Didn't
most.
expect that crossover, did you?
No. I want to see if we're going to get the Shaka again. I love when he does his chakra dance and he gets into his Polynesian roots, and I'm curious to see if we will see that carry through in his battle in Dune. So I'm really
I think
excited
that we
to see
will,
what-
because we've seen it in everything.
We do.
They're also teaming up on that Apple show, C, that
Yeah.
Momo is on.
Yeah, and he definitely gets into the Polynesian roots in that show.
Yeah, and they're bringing in Batista for season 2. Apparently, he's his brother.
Ooh.
Which is
Interesting.
kinda cool. Yeah.
I actually really liked that show. It makes me want to actually have Apple TV, but I'm not going to.
Agreed.
TVs. I got enough. I don't need more. Thanks.
Yeah, I have enough subscriptions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
What else we got?
Well, since we're talking subscription services, Netflix is getting into the gaming industry. They're going to start providing games at no additional cost, or so they say.
Well, initially at no additional cost. The thing is, they actually hired pretty big talent to run their games side. I just don't honestly see this really going anywhere. It's like they announced that they're going to start with like really small, like mobile-based experiences.
Kind of what Amazon Fire did, right? When they first started Amazon Fire, when they first started doing their games.
Yeah, and there's a reason none of those have been successful. It's because people don't play them. They're just not that interesting. But
but see, like the games they're talking about doing are Stranger Things and Black Mirror Bandersnatch, and you know, and like the Black Mirror interactive episode.
Yeah.
Like that had huge response.
Yeah, so when you said it would be like a mobile type game, my ears immediately perked up because I hear mobile type game and I think microtransactions, and everybody and their mom is trying to get in on microtransaction money. So I mean that's what I anticipate, but we'll see.
They're probably not wrong on that, to be honest. It's probably going to drive a lot of money in that direction.
It's going to be both. I think they're testing the waters to see what they can get away with, where the interests are, because to Stash's point, a lot of them have failed. And I wouldn't be surprised. Mobile games have a short lifespan when it comes to a shelf life. You get tired, you get bored, the repetition. There's not that many grinders out there anymore for little payoff. But there's still that dopamine fix for the microtransaction and kind of keep it going. So I would not be surprised if this becomes a service within the next year, a year and a half.
But legitimately, where is the market? This stuff is already offered on any Google device that you could possibly have.
Right now it is.
It's going to stay that way. Google's not going to stop doing it. They make too much money.
What if Netflix has exclusives? Here's the rub. Because no one has like real titles that they're easily available or they're at release date. What if Netflix jockeys themselves into a position through some clever negotiations to have exclusives like the Sony side of it? Or
I was thinking like what happens if there's an Umbrella Academy game?
Well, and they're talking about turning some of their Netflix original shows into video games.
Well, Stranger
they're
Things
even talking about
as a game.
Well, they're even talking about like making a Bridgerton game.
What the hell do you do with a Bridgerton game? Play croquet?
It's a dating sim. It's a dating sim, and I'm into it.
And you can have all of the library sex you want.
I don't know. It seems like a weird market that would be hard to tap into at
I agree.
This point. Like, there's not a lot of space for someone who's going to, I'm assuming, go purely digital.
Well, they are. It looks like it's going to be purely digital, but you have to think Netflix has over 209 million subscribers.
Okay.
7 billion people on the planet. Look at how many people they've yet to reach.
Yeah.
But so does Xbox. So does PlayStation. So does Nintendo.
Are those numbers the same though?
Yeah, probably more actually.
Yeah, they are probably more. The thing is, I don't think you're going to have the built-in market they think. Because yes, you have a certain level of techno savviness to get Netflix to work on all your devices. But how many people do that? How many people have, like my parents, know absolutely nothing, and my sister and I go over there and set it up for them. They're never going to look at games like that. It doesn't matter if they're free or not.
I'd say you maybe, if you come out with some crazy good stuff somehow, you're tapping into a tenth of the market of who has Netflix, probably.
At a high point, maybe.
That's what I'm saying. Like, at your highest, I see this going like the Google Stadia thing. Like,
that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, Stadia couldn't pull this off,
and they have legitimate games. They have tons of games on their Google platform.
Well, I don't know about that. They have a decent number.
You can play Mortal Kombat on Google if you really feel like it. You know,
Finish him.
they have enough name recognition as a company and through the games that they provide. I mean, it's not amazing stuff, but there is enough name recognition there. They have Call of Duty, they have Mortal Kombat, they have Madden, they have all those things on Google Play.
Yeah.
And they still couldn't make the Stadia work.
Well, that's because Stadia didn't work.
I'm sure that's part of it, yeah. But
yeah. But the other part is that it is fucking expensive to play Stadia. And
it was a lot, yeah.
Yeah, I want to say it was like $15 a month, and then you had to pay full price for the games.
Something like that, yeah. Their rental service was weird.
Yeah, and if Netflix isn't going to add an additional fee at this time,
Once they spend a couple $100 million to make a AAA game, they will.
No,
like I said, just at this time.
I think we're going to get a series of really small, simple games just to try and maximize engagement. And I bet you the thing I think they're going to see success with is children.
Which is unfortunate because children are stupid and will pay for stupid stuff.
And
but
potentially predatory.
But children don't have access to credit card information either, so they can't make it too predatory. And the thing is, they can't have that level of outrage associated with a service like theirs.
Netflix has your credit card information saved.
They do, but kids' profiles cannot access any of that information.
Yeah, that's to say if they put the games on the kid's profile or if they just make it its own service that you have to access.
Hey, Mom, can I sing
yeah,
a song?
I think
my game? Mom, can I play my game on your phone? Mom, I want to play my third game on your phone. Yeah, I already see how that's going.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I honestly don't think we're going to have much of an issue with microtransactions because there is such a stink on it right now that I don't think, like, there's a reason the industry is moving away from microtransactions. Like, it's a big thing.
Are they, though?
Yes, they are.
not
Nintendo
fast
is
enough for
getting in
Fox.
They are. Like, they're restructuring them. Loot boxes are very infrequent now.
Sports games.
It's like, yes, you can buy skins, yes, you can buy battle passes, but you know what you're buying when you buy them.
Sports games still, all the sports games still thrive on microtransactions.
Yeah, but that's EA. I mean,
that's a huge chunk of the population playing those games, and a lot of kids. That's the problem.
It's like, I don't think we're going to see games that are optimized for microtransactions on a service like this because, like, people would bitch and complain too much about it.
I mean, they do it for all the
thing about Netflix is you can sit your kid in front of it for 12 hours and, they won't fucking do anything but shit themselves.
All right, first off, that's not exactly how that works.
Not quite. But Google,
Moving on.
Google actively, right now, still to this point, because they're going to probably model after Google. I'm assuming.
I don't think they're going to be that ambitious.
Well, no, but Google, almost all of their games thrive on microtransactions. Almost all of them. All of their top sellers, all of the top 25 that they have, they're in the millions of dollars per month on microtransactions, every single one of them.
That's because they're free. Because you're not paying for those games. The thing is, if Netflix is providing them in a service, you're paying for those games.
Yes and no. I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, Google has a Game Pass too. They still charge you for all the microtransactions.
No, they don't.
Yeah, Google has a Game Pass. You can actually get their paid games for free through a Game Pass.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I know Apple does that. I didn't think.
Google does too. I see it going that way, but that's the problem. Even if you wanted it to be successful, you already have people that are already doing it.
Mm-hmm. And people who are doing it far better than you ever will.
Yeah, and reach a bigger demographic. Because I'm going to say this. Do you think that Google-based phones, so basically anything Android, anything Windows, and Apple phones, don't have more than 200 million units sold?
Oh, they have more than that.
Yeah, exactly. So they're already outpacing Netflix on that.
Well,
Yeah.
and what we said last time we talked about the Netflix numbers is that's the number of actual subscriptions. That's not the number of users.
Oh, yeah, not even close.
Right? Because, I mean, just on one Netflix account, in my own family, there's 3 users on one account.
Yeah, we have 4.
I have 4
on mine.
And then because we all share our streaming services.
Mm-hmm.
I know almost no one who actually pays for all of their streaming services. Most people.
Minus
You're
YouTube
welcome,
Red,
Stash.
actually pay for
I
mine.
didn't say absolutely no one, Smurf. I said almost no one. Because you don't have anybody who likes you enough to share a streaming service with you.
I'd
That
share
checks out.
Just poor little old me.
I'd share
mean-
with you. You want to split some of the services?
Next thing I know, you start hating me, and then you extort my services, and that really bothers me, man.
Well, this is a long con. That's all this is.
The biggest issue I have with sharing like Netflix with my mom is I like watching everything with subtitles. It doesn't matter what the show is. I enjoy subtitles, and she hates them. And so she will go into my profile and turn my subtitles to like Russian.
Wow, that is mean. Incredibly awesome, but mean.
And then I'll go and I'll change hers to like speaking Chinese or something, Mandarin or whatever, because my mother and I fuck with each other via our Netflix accounts, by also renaming each other's profiles and or putting like really inappropriate pictures for the other person. But like, I'm just saying, yeah, it's fantastic. I highly recommend if you share a streaming service with someone, this is what you should do.
Yeah, I mean,
you should fuck with them via their
just
streaming
added
service.
a bunch of bad movies to my queue.
That sounds like her.
Yeah, my boyfriend was telling me the other day, he's like, what have you done to all of my recommendations that I get on Netflix and Amazon? Because when he's not home and I'm over at his place, I'll watch what I want to watch.
so you have a separate profile.
Yeah, but it's more fun to fuck up his recommendations.
Yeah, my kids do that to me quite often.
Yeah, well, your kids, are watching it on whatever profile shows up first.
Exactly. All of a sudden, like, oh, here's some Barbie Dreamhouse. Like, great.
My pretty pony. I'm my pretty pony.
Okay, that's another one. I don't like the new My Little Ponies. That's another old cartoon that they fucked up. And the Barbie Dreamhouse show is complete shit. I've tried to watch it with them.
Tell
It's
that to
terrible.
a 5-year-old.
Hey, I will tell that to your almost 6-year-old, to the 7-year-old who also watches it. All of my nieces need to understand that the Barbie Dreamhouse TV show is complete crap, and they made Meg really stupid. She's supposed to be the smart Barbie. That's why she has red hair.
Well, let's not lie. Most children's programming is pretty stupid.
Yeah.
But that's intentional, so.
Anyway, moving on. So Stash, you wanted to talk about something that wasn't Barbie Dreamhouse. The Green Knight.
Yes, Stash.
Oh, since I'm the only one who actually saw it,
Just came out.
It's a movie based on the epic play The poem, the epic poem from Britain in the Middle Ages, early Middle Ages, and this movie is fucking incredible. It is the best movie I have seen in so long. The cinematography is excellent. The acting is really good. The sound design is some of the best sound design I've ever heard. The retelling of the story is done in some very interesting ways. So even if you're familiar with the source material, you still learn and approach it from a very different angle. And so far this year, this is legions above any other movie I've seen. This is my movie pick of the year.
How much of it deals with the Arthurian lore?
I'm sorry, what was that, Smurf? You're very quiet.
How much of it deals with the Arthurian lore?
All of it. It's the entire premise.
Right, because we're dealing with Sir Gawain.
Yes, Gawain is on a quest to become a knight. And in doing so, he has to confront the challenges and values, the virtues, the 5 virtues of knighthood. And it's how he addresses them, learns from them, evolves. But it's told in the course of a journey, as is on this quest to essentially
Join the round table.
Yeah, no, not at all. This has nothing to do with the round table.
Sweet. All right.
Yeah, it has
disconnected from.
It has the tiniest part to do with Excalibur, and there's this really cheesy part where you see Excalibur and he picks it up, and then they break the lights. It's the worst part of the whole movie. But they that was just a very brief premise, and then it continues on. He essentially goes to confront the Green Knight and die. That's his quest, is to go die. And it's what he did in the course of this journey. And it is, I knew it was going to be interesting. I didn't realize it was going to be as good, but it is slow, it is plotting, it is very drama heavy and very character driven. But oh my god, is it so fucking well written, man. It is 10 out of 10 recommend. I mean, there's some of the special effects that are a little cheesy and lame, but that's because it's a lower budget film. And I understand specifically there's a fox that is not great. Not great at all. Every time I saw it on screen, I was like, I couldn't figure out what exactly was so weird about it. And I still don't know, but it's interesting. It was an interesting choice, but it's very good. It is probably the best King Arthur outside of Monty Python that I've ever seen.
That's a high praise. That's a high praise right there.
It really is.
And now I want to go watch Monty Python.
Yeah, I really hope you guys go and see it, because this is something to be experienced with a really good sound system. So if you have surround sound or something like that, you can definitely do that. But I would highly recommend a movie theater visit for this film.
Okay.
But it's kind of the classic hero journey story. It's a Herculean task.
It definitely, it takes some twists and turns that you don't expect.
Okay. Well,
good.
Yeah.
We'll check it out. All right. Last item on the list for tonight is the new Venom trailer.
So I'll be 100% honest. I hated the first Venom movie. I hated it.
Yeah.
But I have to see this because Woody Harrelson's in it.
I will see it just for Woody Harrelson. His performance looks highly interesting.
I'm gonna go see it.
It's Woody Harrelson with natural born killers and a better haired face. I so want to see this. It looks way better than the first film. I hated the first trailer. The second trailer was absolutely on point.
the first trailer was goofy as shit.
Well, yeah. I'm okay, this has gotten ridiculous.
They were being playful. It was the buddy cop trailer.
Yeah. This trailer, though, really got some dark elements. We got Shriek being exposed as far as a possible character. So
We got a bunch of characters. There's definitely Scream, definitely Phage.
Yep.
Probably not a return of Riot, I'm assuming.
I don't think Riot's coming back.
You do think Riot's going to come back?
Maybe, I don't know. Like,
I don't think so.
Possible. Who knows?
What I'm wondering is how deep in the bag are they going to go on symbiote?
As far as like the maximum carnage crap that they did back in the 90s?
Are we going to get, the lethal protectors, the anti-venom, all that stuff?
Good question. I hope they don't get too far into it. I like just the carnage venom aspect of it, especially with Eddie, like in the trailer. I'll let you eat everybody. Really?
Oh, that was beautiful. Yeah.
That was great. I was like, oh, I'm so on board.
Wait,
Venom's gonna eat people. This is awesome.
I did not hate the movie as much as you two apparently did, the first one. It's not great. It's not amazing. I didn't hate it. It should have been better. But the fact that they're dipping into the old school Venom a little bit more, it seems like, where it's going to be more vicious, more aggressive, and more like just brutal, like Venom is kind of supposed to be, that makes me excited.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what their fights look like. I mean,
CGI fuckfest.
I'm sorry.
A CGI fuckfest. I'm assuming.
I'm gonna hashtag that one too.
I mean, it's like, honestly, I am curious. Woody Harrelson, man, I love that guy. Well, I have seen some really bad movies that he's done it just because he's been in them.
Oh yeah, most of his catalog. Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's the fucking truth.
But the fact that they finally gave us how.
Yes.
They put it on Front Street, how he becomes Carnage. And
is that in the lore?
Huh?
Is that in like the comics or anything?
It's close, but not quite what the original lore is.
No, it's not. Venom escapes prison and he leaves a small piece of the symbiote because the symbiote is splitting and reproducing, so it leaves an egg behind, and that egg bonds with Cassidy.
I'm saying it's similar in the way that he gets the Venom symbiote from Eddie Brock.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's similar, but it is a very different approach to it. But it is kind of.
Yeah, Cassidy doesn't nibble on Eddie.
No, he does not bite him in the comic book, which is unfortunate because that kind of makes me wish that's what happened.
Actually, that was kind of funny. He made him look like a chicken finger. I was like, all right, that's pretty funny.
But the fact that they gave us the how already is either
you know what?
a really good move or a really bad move.
I think that's bold and brilliant because because like all of us, nobody wanted to see this film. Because they're like, well, how do you get it? They gave it to us out of the gate, and they gave us a bunch of explosions, and I'm in. I didn't even care shit about this film until this trailer. Now I'm in.
I wanted to see it, but that's just because, once again, Woody Harrelson and Tom Hardy
don't
see each other.
That was the whole thing, but I wasn't sure if he was going to be enough to drag me to see this movie because I hated the first one so much. But
understandable. If you hate the first movie, yeah, it would be hard to kind of draw you in on that.
So bad. So bad.
It was such a bad. Why did people like it? I don't understand.
Because it's Venom.
No, I liked it because of part of the story that they told about Eddie Brock. It gave him a different origin that was kind of cool. And
so here's the question, Tank. Did you like it or did you not hate it?
I'm gonna be honest and lean more towards not hate, but there were enjoyable aspects of it. I love the fight scene between him and Riot at the end.
There can be scenes that you like when you just don't hate a movie.
The story was weird and awkward and oddly told, but there are parts of it that are kind of cool inspirations for a story.
That's the way I feel about Wonder Woman, not 1984. We all just pretend that movie didn't happen.
That shouldn't have happened.
But the first Wonder Woman movie, I don't like it, but I don't hate it.
Yeah, and that's where I've seen way worse superhero movies than Venom.
Absolutely.
Way worse. I mean,
I mean, that just gets into, we
Howard
want to
the
like pull up Green Lantern, you know, with.
Green Lantern, I'm fine. Don't you dare say Howard the Duck.
No, not Howard the Duck. I'm thinking more like when they did the remake of Fantastic Four with Michael B. Jordan.
Oh my God.
God. That's
Okay. That movie
Collective groan.
was on
That was a piece
TNT
of
or
trash.
TBS or one of those fucking channels in the hotel room when I was in Savannah, and it was on for like a good 10, 15 minutes. And then I was like, the fuck are you guys watching this? But it took me a minute to even recognize what it was.
Oh yeah.
That's how bad of a movie it is.
And I have a personal hatred towards the Rise of the Silver Surfer because Silver Surfer's my favorite comic book character ever, and they completely fucked that movie up and that character up so severely that I hated that movie because of it. So
That's totally fair.
and then there's more. There's a lot of really crappy movies that people don't remember from the 80s and 90s that were comic book movies.
Yeah. I was actually
I would
having
even say like the first Thor movie was trash.
It wasn't great, but it was.
it was not Marvel's best work, but it wasn't their worst.
Well, are we talking like from the Marvel saga that they did? That might be the worst. That one,
I think it's the worst.
the second Thor is also not great.
Second Thor is so much better than the first one, though.
Captain Marvel's worse than the two Thor films.
Yeah,
good luck
I'm with
with you.
Smurf on that.
Yeah, that's a hot take, Smurf. Because that was actually a pretty good movie. It was a
Yeah.
good war movie, more than any. Like, take out Captain America. It's a good war movie in general.
Captain Marvel?
No, sorry, take out Captain America, and it's still a good war movie.
Yes, but he was saying Captain Marvel is the worst of the
I think it's
MCU.
Captain America. Oh,
No, I like Captain Marvel. So
Captain Marvel is garbage. That is a dumpster
not
fire.
that bad.
Yes, it is.
I thought it was an interesting development of a character I knew next to nothing about.
That is because you don't know any of the source material.
And guess what? You still don't know anything about her.
I do not.
it wasn't the worst, but yeah, it's not
I
great.
know she gets fucked up by Rogue, and
Better than Thor.
It's
Thor's better than those two, than that film. I'm just
Yeah, it's
telling
a
I disagree.
5 Marvel movie. For sure.
you. One day we'll have to do our top bottom 5 for Marvel. That would be a fun.
You know what? I am totally down for that.
Are we only doing Infinity Saga stuff, or are we doing all-time bottom 5 of Marvel?
I don't know. I mean, there's some really, because you could bring in the Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider stuff.
All right.
That
Do you
could
think
go
that we
dark.
can do that? You guys want to do that for next week's show? And that's where we'll end tonight.
Well, are
We'll
we
do our
gonna-
top 5, bottom 5 of all Marvel movies ever.
all Marvel movies ever. Okay.
All right. I like that. That's a good goal.
Okay.
Come back,
That
Bobbi,
will be
always
how
say
we.
goodnight. Come back next week to see what we decide are Marvel's top 5, bottom 5 films of all time. Because we are the nerds that know. Give us a like. Give us a share. Spread the word. Tell your friends, because we just want to be loved. And what's wrong with that? In the meantime, run fast, laugh hard, and always be kind.
And I don't really watch Marvel movies.